So with the launch of UEFN, we have seen some amazing projects released, but we have also seen the introduction of 2 original Chapter 1 Battle Royale recreations, and going into UEFN, a lot of the community was getting really excited to get to experience Chapter 1 all over again. But seeing these maps launch has been a pretty major disappointment, and it's kind of showed off a lot of the limitations of current UEFN. Now, that's not to say that UEFN is very limited at all, because that's definitely not true. UEFN is definitely very amazing so far. While it does have things missing, there is room for improvement. It's a great system, and I'm extremely excited about it. But seeing these projects like OG BR is quite disappointing, because at this current moment in time, they are virtually unplayable, at least in some cases. Now, there are 2 major OG recreations that are out right now, that being Atlas and Reboot, each coming with their own set of issues that kind of balance each other out to the point where both are practically the same in terms of quality, at least in my eyes. Though I do want to clarify that I do definitely respect the work and effort and time that has been put into making these maps, as it is very impressive to see how one-to-one these recreations of the Chapter 1 map truly are. That being said, they are not in the greatest position at the moment. Now, I fully believe that as UEFN advances and as time goes on, these maps will become far more polished to the point where we will be able to confidently go in and play some OGBR whenever we'd like to, but in its current state, it is very difficult to do so, at least from my experience. Both of these maps have a lot of issues when it comes to actually loading in. I will say that Reboot is more reliable, but it does have issues of its very own. With Atlas, there is a really big chance that you will spawn in and there will either not be a countdown timer in Spawn Island, or you will spawn in while a match has already started and you're stuck on Spawn Island in the storm, which happens pretty much most case scenario. And on the other hand, with Reboot, most times you will get past Spawn Island, but there's a good chance that you will drop out of the battle bus without a glider and fall to your death immediately. So both maps are really infuriating when it comes to actually getting to play them. Most of the time when you load into a round, you're probably not gonna get to actually play that round. And it just really confuses me, because all the other maps we've seen released thus far haven't really had many issues with that. I haven't had issues with loading into other maps. I haven't had issues with any of the other mechanics on other maps. It seems to only be these maps here. And I know that there's been a lot of memory issues when it comes to these maps, but I don't know how that really explains the game-breaking bugs that we've experienced. Reboot did take considerably more time to come out, but it doesn't seem much more polished than its predecessor Atlas BR. So in my eyes, both of these seem pretty rushed without enough testing before being pushed out. And I think the idea is that they want the community to help test and report bugs to them, but in my eyes, I feel like a lot of this stuff should have been tested before, because not only are the OGBR maps held up to a very high standard, but maps in UEFN in general are held up to a higher standard now. Yes, UEFN is buggy, but having maps that are pretty much this unplayable is not as easy to handwave in the age of Creative 2.0, because maps can be way more advanced, they can be way larger, they have a lot more expectations for them. So with UEFN, if you make a map that is this buggy, it's harder for people to accept it, especially when these teams had access to these tools early before it even came out to the public. And again, this is not to discredit the work that has gone into these maps. Obviously, a ton of work has gone into these maps. I think they just needed more time before they released to iron out all the issues, because playing these maps currently is a very frustrating experience. And once you actually get to play a match, it's not perfect either. With Atlas, there was a ton of bugs that they have since fixed with the loot pool and stuff like that. Rebooted seems pretty good when it comes to the loot pool itself. You got floor loot. I haven't had any bugs with Rebooted where like the entire map disappears like in Atlas, but I will say the lighting in Rebooted when you have stuff like Lumen on is really bad, because pretty much all the interiors are pitch black if you have any of the high settings on with Lumen and shadows and that kind of stuff. But I think that's one of the easier things to fix, and you can fix it yourself by just lowering your settings. Yes, it's unfortunate to have to do that, but it is what it is. It's still playable technically. It's just getting into these matches is a bit frustrating. Also, you have the component of the storm. The map bug is a known UEFN bug, but when it comes to the actual storm itself, in Atlas, I've experienced it where the storm will just overtake the entire map by the end of the game. and it just turns into a heal off at that point. These maps also can't support too many players. The Rebooted has the benefit of going up to 80, it rarely ever fills up to that many players, making matches feel pretty dead and pretty empty, all things considered. And at the end of the day, both of these maps just kind of feel like hollow recreations, and well, you could never recapture the nostalgia and the feeling of old BR, and that's literally impossible. The bare minimum is at least having a fun, enjoyable, playable, and smooth experience, which neither of these deliver, at least not yet. Do they have the potential to in the future? Absolutely. I think a few months later down the line, we're going to see these maps be really amazing, but in its current state, it's not great. And it also showcases a lot of the UEFN issues like I talked about with the map issues. Memory is also still an issue, as we know that these maps had to be stripped down a lot because of memory. They had to make sure that it fit within the memory, but even then that doesn't really excuse a lot of the bugs and issues. And overall, I think the launch of these maps has just been a huge mess. And again, I don't want to discredit the people who worked on these maps, because again, a lot of work has been put into them and I appreciate what they've been doing, and I'm glad that people are going out of their way to make these maps and bring us the OG Fortnite experience, but I wish we just got these a bit later. I wish the people working on them took some more time to kind of make them more polished, or even wait for more UEFN features to make these maps a bit better. And while we have them now, it is pretty much impossible to play them, at least have a smooth experience with them in their current state. But let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the OG Battle Royales? Have you played them? Have you had a good time with them, a bad time with them? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, because I make videos like this all the time, and you can also use my supporter creator code Bendominator in the Fortnite item shop, #ad. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.